What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. Hope you guys are doing well. I just feel like doing random videos occasionally, which this one is obviously involved. But there's been some posts from people who I am friends with of stuff they've been listening to, especially with the likes of Tainted Lord 87, and that really got me thinking that I want to do something like this, not as frequently, but at some random point, if I haven't got anything else to do for the channel, besides that I have actually been taking a bit of a break from reviewing new albums. The last new album review that I've done was 4 weeks ago for Evil's new album, The Unknown, and I have already explained why I've been taking a break. And throughout the past week to this week, I've been coming back to music that I have not been listening back to for a really long time. And I'll show you guys some of the albums I've been playing. And as well as I want to talk about various things. Let me know, by the way, in the comments down below if you want me to do something like this. It's been a moment when I would like to just share what comes up to my mind, just like with the live streams. By the way, the live stream, guys, will be coming in around late August. I will let you guys know in a future video before the end of the month happens. So anyways, with the music I've been listening to, I'll start off with a few of the records. The first one is from one of my favourite electronic and ambient musicians, Steve Roach. This is one of his first few albums, Impetus, which is, I believe, the follow-up to his classic album, Structures from Silence. This is from the 80s, and this is from a period, at first, when I bought this, when I was in my lowest phase of myself a couple of years ago. And I actually didn't feel like I was in the right mood to purchase records online or in person that much. But this was one of those albums I've purchased. And when I played this, I really wanted to come back into a style like this, as it's been one of my favourite genres. But now that I have been back to the normal self that I am, as I've mentioned from my personal thoughts of 2021 video, this was one of those albums I used to play constantly. Now that I've revisited this, I grew to love more of this record. So not only it has taken me a part of a reflection like that from how I previously felt, but now that I've revisited this, it's given me a lot more of the clearer space of mind, and there's some brilliant stuff on this album. Not as well regarded as one of the classics in his discography, but this is one of my high favourites. And it's on the Fortuna Records label. Can't really see that. But check this one out. Another band that I haven't played for a long time. I decided to pull out this album. The Moody Blues, A Question of Balance. Beautiful artwork. And I also took out and played Days of Future Past, which is one of my favourite albums of all time. But when I played this, I believe this is an original pressing. Unfortunately, the crackling on the second side is very, very clear, and it did disappoint me. It's on the Threshold label. So I didn't know what to expect when I pulled this out, but some Moody Blues fans do love this album. And it's a wonderful thing to hear another legend in the Birmingham music scene, like the Moody Blues. To me, the Moody Blues, along obviously with King Crimson, are one of these beginning bands to glow a genre that is progressive rock. There's some proggy elements on this album, but with Days of Future Past, which is more or less like a symphonic prog sounding record, there are elements of progressive rock in there. And that was out before King Crimson's debut. Amazing band, one of my favourites. Here's a record that I have grown to admire. I loved a lot of this right away when I bought it a couple of years back. So this is one record in the trip-hop genre which has been hailed as one of the classics. And I can see why people love it. This is Dummy by Portishead. And Portishead's been one of those bands that really fascinated me. And it's not just because they're involved in the trip-hop genre, but the way they capture the mood, the elements of making something as inspired and well thought of. Portishead's one of those best examples when the trip-hop genre is still relevant. You know, you get the likes of DJ Shadow to Massive Attack, and Portishead's first album being another strong documentation of the genre. This is a masterpiece. It's moody in places. It has the repetition of what's been going on, but with the sound of the vocals and the environment of where this takes you, it's top quality. Squeaky chair. Now this album here, Country Music Vision Fortune, the genre is not country music. I have bought this when I went to Swordfish Records. I've been meaning to revisit this. It's 180 gram, but I don't think this band is that well known. They're kind of like this experimental band, as the phone annoyingly vibrates, an experimental rock style band with very few released sounds. So I don't know if you will come across this. I'm not saying this is like very rare or anything. I think it's just not as well promoted. So this was released through a different label that I am totally unfamiliar with. But for those of you who do know this, let me know what you think of it. Just very basic, minimal packaging. ATP Recordings Limited. Not a really well-known label. Maybe just an independent label. I really enjoyed this because I was, at that period, through discovering genres to grow the taste, obviously, but to hear more stuff. I've played some various jazz records for the likes, like with A Love Supreme by John Coltrane, because that's one of the greatest jazz albums of all time. And same goes with this artist, which is Miles Davis. I've played Nefertiti to In a Silent Way, and I played this album, Tutu, one of his last albums in his career. This is a deluxe edition which contains another record live at the Nice Festival in France, previously unreleased. I only played the studio album of Tutu. I do admire a lot of this record, and you know, besides that there's 2 records, the remaster of Tutu is wonderfully pressed, and the sound is beautiful. Tutu's not one of those Miles Davis records that did get a lot of the praise. It's really different to what you would usually hear from his modal jazz to post-bop and when he went electric. This involves electronic drums and some samples, but it's still gorgeous and yet mellow and just so calm, mysterious, and it's soothing. I do love a lot of this record, but obviously it's not one of those top tier classic albums like with Bitches Brew or Kind of Blue, Sketches of Spain, or like with his live albums like Agharta and Pangea. But Miles Davis has been one of those heroes of mine for a long time. Played a few CDs like this Cocteau Twins album Treasure, and I decided to discover this band, hence that's why I bought this from my last update video. It's a fantastic record, one of those dreamy poppy sounds, and especially with the involvement of these guys being involved in that style of music, Cocteau Twins is one of those no exception bands. Beautiful album. And with these 2 from Cannes, Future Days, and also this one, Soon Over Babaluma, I think that these records are just similar to each other. I've mentioned these albums previously. This was known as one of those essential albums in the genre, and for many Cannes fans to be known as their best and most favourite work, besides Tago Mago. Whereas with Soon Over Babaluma, I've played this quite loudly. And side 2 with Chain Reaction and Quantum Physics, some of my most favourite pieces of music from Cannes. And the other songs on here, even though there's only 5 tracks, they're rhythmic, they're very loose, jam-based stuff. Played a few Tangerine Dream, like with Force Majeure, Stratosphere, and it still makes me happy to think about music that has been created from previous generations, that it can, you know, be an important thing for yourself. By the way, this is a Sonic Youth washing machine t-shirt, and Sonic Youth's one of my favourite bands as well. Sonic Youth's Washing Machine is my favourite album from their discography, by the way. Not Daydream Nation, but Daydream Nation's great. And there's a part of me that resonated with me last night. I was listening to the Disintegrating Loops by a musician called William Basinski, who's been another inspiration for many in the ambient genre, but also with minimalism and tape music. When I listened to those pieces of music through the early 2000s, it makes me realize not only you're just here for the art of music, but there's stuff out there like what William Basinski's created that feels even more moving, surreal, and it's like you're stuck in a part of all of this mentality of reality, and with what William did through that piece of music, it's not only been known as one of the greatest ambient and experimental music of all time, but it's like it makes you feel this way, and it's powerful stuff. It's quite complex, and not only music makes you happy, but if you're surrounded with something that really has been traumatizing to you, but if you hear music that makes you feel that way, it's a breathtaking experience. There's a lot of detail to proceed things. Music can make you feel like you're about to snap or tear up. But if you want to listen to stuff like what William Basinski has created, I think it is not only a different space and world for music, but it makes you really focus, like you are involved in a style of music that is not only personal and inspiring, but the way it sounds. The Disintegrating Loops, it's like the music is going through its own state of decay. It's decaying itself, just like we all are, but extremely slowly. It's quite a dark thing to talk about in this subject matter, so existential, and as well as with some music that makes you feel that way. And you know, it's not always very comfortable. It's not always for the strongest of people's mindsets. Some people couldn't even handle that way of thinking when music makes you feel these experiences. But that is a very huge thing, that music is always going to stick by your side. We can listen to anything, but if something that's so complex, so dense, but with the acceptance of being involved around the existential state of ourselves, and you hear the sound of music that portrays that same feeling, it's, as I said, powerful stuff. For myself, mentally and physically, I've been productive. I've been making up pieces of music, and the way I see my own discovery of making music is not only to listen to music, either outside by myself, listening to Spotify with these Raycon earbuds, or working out in the gym with music through these earbuds, or to play records. But if there's a tonality of music that speaks to me, I do my best to have that same formula, but I don't intend to copy, because if there's a sound of a riff or a piece of soul, of behavior, that's the music. It's like I want to make something like that and be attached into whatever is going to come out through any piece of music I want to play. It's random things like this in my mind that I do want to keep in mind to myself. And not only that I'm a musician, but with so much passion, by buying, collecting, listening, and reviewing. But I see at this point now, for the direction of who I am, I'm experiencing the bigger escapism of reality and wants to be in this this mood of being fixed into what's going on with the music and to let it transcend, let it continue my passion for music. And with that being said, that's all I would like to say. Like I said earlier on, let me know in the comments if you want me to do stuff like this, share stuff around what's been going in your mind. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.